attempting to start a war with Ecuador. You have no right to arrest Julian Assange.
If it was as easy to arrest Julian Assange as his supporters, then there wouldn't be a diplomatic battle between Britain and Ecuador. The scuffles outside the country's embassy are but a small sideshow to the wider extradition arguments surrounding an Australian citizen wanted for questioning in Sweden, probably wanted by the United States, but not facing any charges in Britain. Assange hasn't been seen publicly since entering the embassy 2 months ago to seek asylum, a request which the South American state has now agreed to.
We're convinced that Mr. Assange's rights have been undermined during the inquiry. Ecuador knows that he doesn't have the due protection and aid from the state where he is a citizen. From communications with Britain, Sweden and the US, it is inferred that those governments would not respect the international treaties and conventions.
But Britain doesn't accept the principle of diplomatic immunity and will stop him leaving the country.
Diplomatic immunity exists to allow embassies and diplomats to exercise proper diplomatic functions. And the harbouring of alleged criminals or frustrating the due legal process in a country, in the host state, is not a permitted function of diplomats under the Vienna Convention.
The WikiLeaks founder has been fighting legal moves to extradite him to Sweden to answer questions about allegations of sexual assault, because he believes it could ultimately lead to him being sent to America to face trial for revealing tens of thousands of secret documents.
This decision is preventing the Swedish legal system from acting and making the investigation upon the accusations made on sexual offences in Sweden. And this is unacceptable.
I am joined by the President of Ecuador.
Assange struck up a relationship with the Ecuadorian President Rafael Correa while interviewing him on a cable news programme. But the British government has warned that his refuge inside the embassy in London's upmarket Knightsbridge area isn't as secure as was thought. Legislation introduced after WPC Yvonne Fletcher was shot dead by a Libyan hiding inside their embassy could provide a loophole to allow the government to revoke the building's diplomatic status. Ecuador would have to be given notice of any such move. The police couldn't simply storm in unannounced. Assange may have been granted asylum, but he's effectively a prisoner inside this building.
Protection from search does extend to the embassy's means of transport, so ordinarily one would assume that's the diplomatic car which is used by the ambassador, but it's not clear in practical terms how you can have a chain of transport to get him from the embassy to Ecuador without at any point allowing him to be at risk of arrest by the British police who want to apprehend him to extradite him.
But one of his supporters believes there is a potential escape route.
The only way, if one is thinking about this seriously, would be to grant him Ecuadorian citizenship and appoint him as an information attaché at the embassy in London, which would then give him diplomatic status and he would be untouchable.
The diplomatic arguments will continue, but the man at the centre of the row is delighted. Assange expressed his gratitude to the Ecuadorian government in a statement released by the embassy. He said it wasn't Britain or his home country, Australia, that had stood up to protect me from persecution, but a courageous, independent Latin American nation. While today is an historic victory, our struggles have just begun. At one point, a taxi turned up with Assange's name on it, but finding an easy route out of this diplomatic impasse is proving impossible. Ian Woods, Sky News.